Welcome to Gapology Radio with your hosts Mark Tinas and Brian Brockhoff. This is your podcast covering tactics for creating winning leadership and sustainable winning organizations. Discover more information detailed in their books, Gapology, Imbar, and their newest release, Speed of Purpose. We can be reached at gapology.org, and our books can be found at amazon.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gapology Radio. We've been on a little hiatus lately from the podcast, and we've been super busy. We're finishing up our next book, Speed of Purpose. It's actually with our publisher at the moment, and they're getting all their details done on it. We're actually expecting it to be available in the next several weeks, so stay tuned for more information on that. Beginning with our next episode, we'll be walking you through some of the key learning pieces from Speed of Purpose. We'll give you some high-level overviews of our concepts and methodologies that we describe in the book in much more detail. So definitely stay tuned. But today we are excited for another reason. We're very blessed to be interviewing one of our amazing Gapology partners who for some reason hasn't been on the show before. Our guest is Bob Vandercook. He's the president of Client Transformation and he's a Gapology coach. Bob is also an operations pastor for a church in the Dallas, Texas area, and he travels all over the world in his ministry. And today he will discuss with us how Gapology fits into that ministry as well. So let me turn it over to Mark to welcome Bob to the show. Mark?
Thanks, Brian. Hey, Bob. Welcome.
Hey, Mark. Great to be here.
Yeah, you have such a wealth of knowledge. I can't wait for our listeners to hear from you. Why don't you start just by telling them about how Gapology has impacted the business world and what you've done with it there?
Yeah, so my involvement with Gapology really began probably when you and I started working together, Mark, years ago. And I've been able to take the principles and the framework behind Gapology and apply it to multiple different industries over the last decade and a half. Within the last 6 years, most recently, I've been working with some major corporations in the Dallas metro area and some teams and sharing the Gapology framework through workshops and through some one-on-one coaching and really helping them how to understand how to apply the Gapology framework. And it's been pretty transformational for these individuals and these organizations.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Which parts of Gapology would you say had the greatest impact on the business world? If you had to look at it as a series of pieces and parts of tactics and strategies, which ones were most effective? I think our listeners would appreciate that.
Yeah. So if any of our listeners have read the book, one thing you would know is that knowledge gaps are typically the largest in magnitude. And certainly that's been no different in the organizations I've worked with. And one of my favorite tools when we talk about knowledge gaps is the habit ladder. And for organizations, whether it's a human resource department or a field operations or sales organization, when they start understanding how to identify and close a gap in knowledge and they actually put it into practice, it's really made extreme impacts on the positive side at moving forward towards whatever goals they're trying to reach. It's been pretty amazing watching them climb the ladder, if you will.
Yeah, one of the greatest things about Gapology is it impacts results in a positive way. And I think every single case where we've applied it, I can tell you of one out of hundreds where it didn't, Yeah,
no, for sure.
So tell us about how the transition to Christianity took place and what it looked like. So how does Gapology apply to Christianity? How did you see it? And then how did you bring it to Africa? Walk us through this.
Yeah, that's those are all great questions, and I'll try to unpack it one step at a time. So transition is a good word. Probably application or applying Gapology is more what really happened. And the application is really pretty simple. So if I just look at Gapology, it's a universal framework and language for helping create action, the results as you spoke to. So whether you're working through an underperforming business category or trying to improve your growth as a Christian, the steps you need for growth and change fundamentally remain the same. you would need to know what and how to do something. You would need to, along the way, discover the why and the when it's important to do so. And at the end of the day, you need to take action based on what you've discovered. And that's really Gapology. So the transition, as you put it, really happened. I've been really fortunate to spend some time in East Africa with different leaders in that part of the world, Christian leaders who work hard every day at trying to help people grow in their faith. And it's in East Africa, there's a lot of agrarian cultures there where being a farmer is really important to an individual, both for food and for income. So if you wanted to be a good farmer, and if you took the framework of the habit ladder, which is my favorite tool, if Mark, let's say, Mark, that you're an expert farmer, the first thing I would need to come to you with is what and how do I become an expert farmer? I would need that information and you would give it to me. But that's not enough. I would need to understand what and how through demonstration. You would need to challenge me a little bit to say, okay, Bob, demonstrate how to be this expert farmer. Show and tell me what you would need to do. And I would do so. But even then, I would need to look at you as my teacher or mentor, so to speak, and accept what you're showing me as really the way to farm. I would need to understand the why behind farming the way that you've shown me to do it. Once I accept that, great. Now I'm equipped and I'm armed. Now I need to go out and practice, repetition, muscle memory. Once I go through enough practice and repetition and muscle memory, one day I wake up and I look in the mirror and I've reached habit of being a good farmer. And now I'm equipped to actually help somebody else do the same thing. So what does farming have to do with Christianity? Well, in the same way that someone would want to be a farmer, it's really very similar in path or in steps of if I wanted to be a Christian or a Christ follower, the approach really would be the same way. I'd need the information on what and how to do that. I would need to understand it. I would need to accept it as the way, and then I would need to go out and practice what that looks like so that I could arrive at the habits of becoming a Christian, a Christ follower. And really, that's how the application is kind of been put into play.
Yeah, it does sound very similar. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So has Gapology enabled missionaries, pastors, followers, farmers in Africa to bring others to Christ?
Without a doubt, the evidence is there to support that. I would say that the framework is so simple to understand because it's universal and it has universal application, that using it to help others arrive at a decision, which being a Christ follower is really about, making a decision or not. Deciding to improve in a business category is the decision to do it or not. It's applied equally. So it's been pretty amazing to see transformation occur with this framework in place.
One of the most powerful aspects of Gapology in the business world is the structure of communication.
Yes.
And the three simple steps, telling someone the facts, giving them communication around a topic, telling them why it matters, the why, and then telling them what they must do. And in Gapology, we teach that over and over again to move people to action. Have you been able to teach that to the leaders in East Africa to better structure their sermons and their message?
Yeah, it's great that you point that out. Communication is fundamental to leading any individuals, as you said. And one of the things we have done is really used Gapology to teach people how to communicate well while we're communicating to them. So that's kind of an infinity loop of some respect. And in fact, when I hold workshops or when I do conferences, I use Gapology when I'm sharing the content that we're covering. And about halfway through, I kind of pull the veil back and not only talk about what we've been covering and the importance of how to organize messaging and communication with an audience, but I share with them the actual steps that I've been using are the steps of Gapology in getting it done. So I've been using them in the workshop while we've been talking about the steps all along. And then there's always this kind of aha moment, like, oh, that makes total sense now. But it's been well received, the methodology behind it, and it certainly is universally applicable.
Yeah, I can't tell you how proud I am of you and the work you've done there, and how good it makes me feel, to just hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you for your work.
Yes, thank you. No, it's been a blessing, and it's been a gift to so many. Just a simple way to understand how to look at the world where you're facing challenges or gaps of any degree, and be able to put some order to it, so to speak, in order to make change and to move forward. It's about movement, and we talk about it all the time: creating movement. Move forward. Don't stay where you're at. Move forward.
Yeah, Gapology, as you pointed out earlier, is a universal language, a universal structure. We are currently recording it to put it on Audible, so that we can reach even a bigger audience.
Wow, that's great.
And so we're excited about that. That'll be coming out later this year. We've been working, as with your help and endorsement on Purpose.
Yes,
a book called Speed of Purpose. And I know you're very much a purpose-driven leader, spiritually and in the business world, and we appreciate that. We're going to do a series of podcasts around Speed of Purpose. We've got those laid out. They're coming as our next series here. But can you explain to the audience today how purpose impacts your life, and how critical it is, and how it's so much a part of who you are?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to share that. Thank you for asking on those pieces. It's really, I put it like this. It's one thing to have a good tool or good ideas on what you want to do in your life or in business, but it's another thing to try to define, why is it important to do that? Why should I do that? Why do I get up every day, put on my shoes, go out my door, or go to my desk, however you're working, to do the things you're going to do? Why, as an individual, do you get up and go through your life, whatever that may look like? Why behind it? I think too often we get caught up in the busyness of life, whether it's in business or personal or spiritual, either way you pick it, and don't pause enough to think of, well, why am I really doing this? What am I doing this for? So, and that's how I would define purpose. And I can tell you that finding purpose makes all the difference in the world. Identifying your why makes all the difference in the world, because now you can really start putting things in order and start looking at alignment, and look at the way that you approach your business or the way that you approach your life, and start thinking about, how am I organized with the steps I take or the processes I work towards that? How am I aligning the people around me or the people in my life? And how am I aligning, the day-to-day, the way that I would measure success at the end of the day, whether that's as an individual or business or spiritually? What does success look like? And without that why to center on, I think you just end up going down a road that may be even the wrong road or a parallel road, without any aha moment or even arriving at any satisfaction at the end of the day. So now purpose for me has helped me center on who I'm as an individual, but also in my business life. What is it that I'm trying to achieve? Why am I going after this? So that I can make sure that when I wake up and pursue it, I'm in total alignment. And what I've found, Mark, is that, as you know very well, that when you have that type of an alignment, you start picking up speed. So I love the way that you've defined, you and Brian have defined speed of purpose, because it makes sense. Because that's what happens when you reach alignment on purpose. You have this speed towards where you're going like nothing you can imagine.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. The book, Speed of Purpose, we're very proud of it. And it really is a step-by-step process that we teach on how to achieve the speed that Bob's describing. So coming soon, be on the lookout. And again, we're going to do podcasts around that. Well, Bob, I can't even tell you how proud I am of you and the work you've done. Very, very impressive. And I'm sure it's totally shaped your life. Brian, I don't want to dominate all the time. Can I turn it back to you for some follow-up questions?
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. First of all, I just want to say thank you, Bob, for jumping on the call today and for sharing your amazing journey and the lessons with Gapology. I hope this helps our listeners to really understand that what we teach with Gapology, with IMBAR, and now with Speed of Purpose, not only applies to our business life, but really to our holistic life, because all these things are really intertwined. So often I think we try to separate our personal life from our work life, but these things really are blended together. So Bob, I appreciate your comments today, and the whole focus on human behavior I think is amazing. So thanks, Bob. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, everybody. Well, that wraps up another episode. Thanks again, Bob, for joining us, and thanks, Mark. Appreciate everything.
Thanks, Brian, for achieving the 20-minute time frame as well.
Yeah, we did it. Woo. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you all later. All right. Bye. Okay, that'll do it from here. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you'll be notified when each new episode is posted. And head on over to our website, gapology.org, for more information on Gapology, IMBAR, Speed of Purpose, and more. Everyone have a fantastic week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology production. Visit us at gapology.org.